In a journey of love filled with confusion and betrayal, Mia and Ryan embarked on an open relationship, believing it would lead them to happiness. However, this decision opens the door to deeper feelings between Mia and Alex, an unexpected man who quickly becomes more than just a passing connection. As Mia's growing feelings for Alex become undeniable, she finds herself torn between two conflicting worlds, lost love and newfound freedom. When the betrayal is finally revealed, Mia and Ryan must face the painful reality that not all relationships can go back to what they once were. Wife's open relationship dream turns into a regretful reality of cheating, is a story about choices, regret, and how one decision can shatter everything. Can their love survive, or has it all ended forever? Mia and Ryan had been a couple for 5 years. They had shared countless memories together, long trips, joyful moments, and challenges that tested the strength of their relationship. Through every difficulty, they always managed to face it together, with open communication and a strong sense of trust. But recently, Mia felt that something was missing. It wasn't that Ryan was inattentive or that their relationship had become dull, but there was a deeper feeling inside her, an emptiness that seemed to gradually grow, despite her reluctance to admit it. One evening, after a simple dinner at their home in Kreuzberg, Berlin, Ryan asked a question that Mia never expected. They sat in the dimly lit living room, sipping red wine. Mia looked into Ryan's eyes, usually calm and reassuring, but tonight, there was something different about his gaze. Ryan began the conversation with a voice that was softer than usual, but filled with conviction. "Mia," Ryan said, his tone more serious than usual, "what do you think about an open relationship?" Mia paused, taken aback by the sudden question. She didn't know how to respond at first. An open relationship? What did he mean by that? Ryan continued, explaining that he felt their relationship could be more alive if they allowed each other the freedom to explore connections with other people without diminishing the love they had for one another. "It doesn't mean I love you any less, Mia," Ryan continued, "but sometimes, we get stuck in the same routine. Why not give space for something new? This isn't about changing anything, but more about discovering things we might not even realize we wanted." Mia felt her mouth go dry. She looked at Ryan, trying to find a hint in his face, but all she found was sincerity and hope. Her heart began to race. Anxiety and confusion gripped her, but there was also something within her that stirred. Could this be an idea worth exploring? "Ryan, I don't know," Mia finally said, trying to gather her thoughts. "Is this really something you want, or is it just an experiment?" Ryan smiled, attempting to reassure her. "I think we can always go back if it doesn't work out. But I want to know what it feels like to try something new. We've always been open with each other, and I believe we can keep that trust." Mia thought over Ryan's words. She reflected on their relationship, which had always flowed so smoothly. They shared everything, from small details to their biggest dreams. But lately, there had been a sense of limitation in her life. A curiosity she couldn't quite understand. What if feelings grow for someone else? Mia asked, a hint of fear starting to creep into her voice. Ryan sighed deeply, then replied, "We'll talk about it. We'll always be honest with each other. That's the most important thing, right?" Mia looked down, the conflicting emotions swirling in her mind. She wasn't the type to easily trust something like this. But she knew that Ryan had always tried to listen to what she was feeling. Mia was anxious, but there was also a strange allure to exploring this experience. "Are you sure we can keep everything open like this?" Mia asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Yes," Ryan answered firmly. "I'm sure we can, Mia. I don't want any secrets between us." Mia nodded slowly, though deep down, she still had profound doubts. She looked at Ryan, who gazed at her with a glimmer of hope. They had talked about so many things, but this was the first time Mia felt truly unsure about what they were discussing. The desire to try an open relationship seemed like a big, unexpected leap. As the night wore on, they delved deeper into the prospect of it. Ryan worked hard to reassure Mia that nothing would change, that they would always support and take care of each other. Yet, despite this, Mia still felt uncertain. She worried about the consequences. What would happen if their feelings for each other shifted? What if one of them became more attached to someone else? But despite all the doubts, Mia also felt a small tug of curiosity she couldn't deny. There was a part of her that wanted to explore this possibility, to step outside of her comfort zone and see what lay beyond it. Was this true freedom? Would it bring them closer, or would it drive them further apart? After several hours of conversation, they decided to give themselves some time to think things over. Mia finally said, "Okay, we can try. But I want to make sure that no matter what happens, we can talk about everything. We need to always be honest with each other." Ryan smiled, looking relieved. "I promise, Mia. We'll always be open with each other." Though the decision had been made, Mia still felt torn. Her heart and mind were still in turmoil. She knew this was a choice that would change so much in their lives. She couldn't shake the anxiety that haunted her, even though Ryan seemed so ready to take this step. As time passed, the feeling within Mia grew stronger. Was this really the right decision, or had they opened a door they couldn't close again? A few weeks had passed since Mia and Ryan decided to explore an open relationship. At first, Mia's feelings were mixed, caught between the freedom that was promised and the fear of the potential consequences. Every time she was with Ryan, that feeling grew more intense. Ryan seemed happy with their decision, but Mia felt that a part of her was slowly drifting away from what they had built together. She didn't know how to explain her confusion, even to Ryan, who had always been so open with her. One evening, Mia went to a small cafe in Friedrichstrasse, Berlin. The cafe was known for its cozy vintage atmosphere, with dim lighting and the scent of freshly brewed coffee filling the air. Mia, wearing a black leather jacket and dark trousers, sat alone in the corner of the cafe, staring into a steaming cappuccino. She was trying to calm her thoughts, but the image of Ryan and the feeling of guilt kept haunting her. Then, someone sat at the table next to hers. To her surprise, it was Alex, the man who had been on her mind more and more recently. Alex, whom she had first met at an art event in Berlin a few weeks ago, greeted her with a warm smile. "Mia, right?" he asked, his brown eyes sparkling with warmth. Mia was momentarily startled, not expecting to see Alex there, but quickly smiled and nodded. "Oh, Alex. Didn't expect to see you here," she replied, trying to sound casual, even though her heart was racing. Alex flashed a subtle smile and sat down across from her. "Are you here alone? Mind if I join you?" he asked confidently. Mia felt a bit awkward, but after a brief moment of hesitation, she nodded. "Sure," she said, though inside, she could feel a sense of uncertainty creeping in. As their conversation flowed, Mia felt more and more at ease. They talked about art, films, and of course life in Berlin. Mia felt comfortable with how Alex listened to her and responded to everything she said. There was warmth in his voice, a kind of charm that Mia couldn't deny. Every time Alex laughed, it felt genuine, full of life, and it made Mia feel drawn to him in a way she hadn't anticipated. On the other hand, Alex wasn't shy about complimenting Mia, her way of thinking, the way she spoke, and how she observed the world. Mia felt a connection with Alex that went beyond what she had felt before. It wasn't just his good looks, with his neatly groomed brown hair and captivating brown eyes, but also the way he spoke with such attentiveness. Alex seemed to understand what Mia needed without her saying a word. This made Mia feel special and noticed, something she'd felt less and less of since the start of the open relationship. "You really have a different perspective on the world," Alex remarked at one point, as they discussed a book they had both recently read. "I like people who can see beyond the surface." Mia smiled and replied, "I think that's because I've always wanted to know more about everything. The world is so vast, isn't it?" Alex nodded, looking at Mia with a deeper gaze. "I like the way you see the world, Mia. Not many people can think like that. I'm glad I got to know you better." Mia's heart began to race. She didn't know whether it was the growing connection with Alex or if it was just a fleeting feeling. But with every word Alex spoke, Mia felt more and more connected. The more time they spent together, the more she felt something bigger than friendship could grow between them. Every conversation made her feel alive, more passionate. Mia realized she had stepped into a world full of possibilities, a world that Alex was offering her. The thought of it all filled her with curiosity and excitement. When their conversation started to wind down, Alex asked, "How about we take a walk? I know a beautiful spot nearby." Mia hesitated for a moment. She knew that spending more time with Alex would mean drifting further away from the comfortable space she had shared with Ryan. But there was something pulling her to explore this world with Alex, something she couldn't deny. After thinking for a moment, Mia nodded. "All right, I'll come with you." They left the cafe and walked along the dark streets of Berlin, the streetlights casting a soft glow on their path. The night felt different, more intimate, more personal. They stopped for a while in a quiet park, surrounded by trees beginning to turn yellow. Alex looked at her with a more intense gaze, as if he wanted to say something, but it was Mia who spoke first. "Alex," Mia said softly, "I've never felt like this before." Alex smiled. "You feel connected, don't you?" "I feel the same way." Mia felt something she couldn't explain. She knew that what they were feeling could grow into something bigger, something deeper. But there was another part of her that felt worried. Could she go back after opening this door? Could she handle this if their feelings for each other deepened? They talked longer, laughed, and shared stories about their lives. Time seemed to slip away, and Mia felt herself becoming more and more drawn to the charm and energy that Alex offered. She knew she had opened a door to a world that was pulling her in, one that felt impossible to ignore. As they parted ways, Alex gave Mia a brief hug, his warmth spreading through her body. "It's been great getting to know you, Mia. I really enjoyed this," Alex said with a meaningful smile. Mia smiled back, but inside, she couldn't deny the growing attraction she felt. There was something between them, and Mia knew that this was just the beginning of something much bigger. After her meeting with Alex, Mia felt herself changing. She couldn't deny the shift in herself, a shift that deepened every time they met. They began spending more time together, enjoying long, laughter-filled conversations. Alex, with his easy smile and natural charm, made Mia feel more alive than she had in a long time. There was a warmth in his presence, a spark that she couldn't ignore. She found herself drawn to him, not just physically, but emotionally as well. Every moment she spent with Alex made her feel more connected, more understood. She found herself opening up in ways she hadn't with Ryan in a long time. They spoke about everything: books, art, their views on life. Alex's attentiveness and the way he listened to her made her feel special. It was the kind of attention she had craved, but never realized just how much she was missing until now. He saw her, truly saw her, in a way that made her feel valued. Meanwhile, when Mia was with Ryan, she felt something else, something distant. The conversations with Ryan, once so effortless and full of warmth, now felt strained. It was as if a silent divide had formed between them. Mia still cared for Ryan deeply, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they were no longer on the same wavelength. She remembered the openness they had agreed on, the promise to share everything and explore new things. But as each day passed, the connection between her and Alex grew stronger, and with it, her doubts about the open relationship began to grow as well. Was this what she wanted? Was she ready to let go of the comfort and history she shared with Ryan for something that felt so uncertain? Mia found herself torn between two worlds. On the one hand, there was Ryan, who had been there for her through thick and thin. Their bond was strong, built over years of shared experiences. But on the other hand, there was Alex, a new and exciting possibility that made her feel more alive than she had in a long time. Each time she was with Alex, she felt more and more drawn to him, and the lines between curiosity and something deeper began to blur. It was becoming harder and harder to ignore the growing feelings for Alex. He made her feel like she was more than just a partner in a relationship. He made her feel like she was seen, heard, and desired in ways she hadn't experienced in a long time. Every time they talked, it felt like a new discovery, a new layer of connection unfolding between them. But what about Ryan? Could she continue living this dual life? Every time Mia was with Ryan, the guilt gnawed at her, reminding her of the promises they had made to each other. The open relationship had been his idea, but now it seemed like Mia was the one who was struggling with it the most. Was she being unfair to him? Was it possible to keep their relationship intact while exploring these new feelings with someone else? One evening, after a particularly intense conversation with Alex, Mia found herself walking back to their apartment, her thoughts swirling. She had been smiling and laughing with Alex, but deep down, something was eating at her. It wasn't just the excitement of new emotions, it was the weight of the situation she found herself in. As she approached the apartment, Mia's phone buzzed. It was a message from Ryan. "Hey, I was thinking we could spend some time together tonight. Just the two of us. We haven't done that in a while." Mia stopped in her tracks, staring at the message. The words seemed to pull her back into reality, into the life she had with Ryan. Her heart tightened. How could she continue on like this, when part of her was so deeply connected to someone else? She entered the apartment, her thoughts in turmoil. Ryan was sitting on the couch, looking up as she walked in. He smiled, but it was different this time. There was something almost searching in his gaze, something that made Mia feel exposed. She could see the effort he was making, trying to reconnect, trying to rekindle what had been lost. "Hey," Ryan said softly, his voice warm but tinged with something else, something Mia couldn't quite place. "You good? Want to talk about your day?" Mia hesitated. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the genuine care he still had for her. But her mind was elsewhere, on Alex, on the growing connection she felt with him. She knew that this wasn't fair to Ryan. But how could she explain it? How could she explain the growing feelings for Alex without hurting him? She sat down beside Ryan, trying to find the right words, but everything seemed stuck. Her thoughts were a jumbled mess of guilt, longing, and confusion. "I'm fine," she said, forcing a smile. "Just tired. I'm glad you texted though. It's been a long week." Ryan nodded, but the silence that followed felt heavy. Mia knew that he could feel the distance between them too. They had always been able to communicate without words, but now, even that seemed to be slipping away. "Do you ever feel like we're not really talking anymore?" Ryan asked quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. "Like, I don't know. There's this space between us that I can't figure out." Mia's heart sank. She had been hoping Ryan wouldn't bring it up, that maybe they could just pretend everything was fine. But the truth was, the space between them had only grown wider. She could no longer pretend that it wasn't there. "I don't know," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I feel it too, Ryan." Ryan didn't say anything for a long moment. He simply looked at her, as if waiting for her to say more, to explain what had been happening in her heart. But Mia couldn't find the words. She wasn't even sure what she was feeling anymore. Was it guilt? Or was it something deeper, something that had started with the open relationship and had now blossomed into something far more complicated? As Ryan sat there, Mia realized that she couldn't keep avoiding the truth. She couldn't keep balancing these two worlds without eventually losing herself, and possibly losing Ryan too. "I think we need to talk," Mia said softly, finally breaking the silence. "About everything." Ryan's eyes widened slightly, and for a moment, Mia saw a flicker of something, fear perhaps, pass across his face. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice careful. Mia swallowed hard. She knew this conversation was inevitable. But she also knew that no matter how it ended, things between them would never be the same again. "I think we both know something's changed," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "And I need to be honest with you about how I'm feeling." Ryan's face fell, and for a moment, Mia felt as though the world had stopped spinning. She had never been good at confronting hard truths, but now, the truth felt like the only thing that mattered. What would Ryan say? How would he react? And more importantly, what would this mean for the future of their relationship? Days passed since Mia's conversation with Ryan, and while she had intended to be more open with him, the words never came. Every time they were together, Mia could feel the weight of the unspoken truth hanging between them. It was like they were both walking on eggshells, afraid to break the fragile balance they had left. Ryan had asked her to talk, but Mia had avoided the subject, hoping the moment would pass, hoping the tension would ease, but it only grew stronger. One evening, Mia found herself sitting in a cozy cafe near East Side Gallery, the iconic Berlin landmark covered in colorful murals. It was her usual spot when she wanted to think or escape the noise of her mind. The cafe was quiet, the only sounds being the soft hum of conversation and the clink of coffee cups. She sat by the window, staring out at the mural of the Berlin Wall, her fingers wrapped around a steaming cup of tea. But her mind wasn't on the art or the bustling city outside. It was on Alex. After their last meeting, Mia hadn't been able to stop thinking about him. Every time they spoke, every time they laughed together, she felt something pull her deeper into him. The connection between them was undeniable, and each time they were together, it felt as though the world around them disappeared. She was beginning to realize that what she felt for Alex wasn't just a fleeting attraction, it was something real. Something strong. But Mia couldn't shake the feeling that she was betraying Ryan. They had agreed on the open relationship, but Mia had never imagined it would lead to this. She never imagined she would fall for someone else. Was it wrong? Was it fair to Ryan? These were the questions that plagued her thoughts as she sat there, alone in the cafe, wrestling with her emotions. Her phone buzzed on the table. It was a message from Alex. "Mia, are you free tonight? I'd love to see you again." The message made her heart skip a beat. She had told herself she needed space, that she needed time to sort things out. But when she saw Alex's name, all her resolve seemed to disappear. She wanted to see him again, to feel that spark between them. Without thinking, she typed a quick reply, "I'm free. Where should we meet?" The reply came almost immediately, "I'll come to the cafe. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Mia smiled softly, her stomach fluttering with anticipation. As much as she tried to suppress it, she knew she was looking forward to this. She wanted to be near Alex, wanted to feel the magnetic pull of his presence again. When Alex arrived, he greeted her with that warm, easy smile that made her feel like everything was right in the world. He sat down across from her, his eyes lighting up when he saw her. They exchanged pleasantries, but Mia could tell that the air between them was charged, heavier than usual. There was a tension, an unspoken desire hanging between them, and neither of them seemed willing to ignore it any longer. "You look beautiful tonight," Alex said softly, his gaze lingering on her for a moment longer than necessary. Mia's heart raced. "Thank you," she replied, her voice a little shaky. "You look good too." They talked about everything and nothing, as they usually did. The conversation flowed easily, but Mia's thoughts kept drifting back to the last time they were together, the way Alex had looked at her, the way his touch had lingered just a little longer than it should have. She couldn't help but think about the first time they had met, the way everything felt so natural, so easy between them. The chemistry had been instant, and now, with every meeting, it felt stronger. As the evening wore on, the cafe began to empty. The once bustling space became quieter, the noise of the city outside the only sound breaking the silence between them. Mia's mind raced as she sat across from Alex, trying to ignore the growing tension between them. She couldn't help but wonder, did he feel it too? Was he just as affected by this connection as she was? And then, without warning, Alex reached across the table and gently took her hand in his. Mia froze. Her breath caught in her throat as she looked at him, unsure of what to say or do. But Alex's gaze was steady, his eyes filled with a quiet intensity that made her heart race. She could feel his thumb gently tracing the back of her hand, sending shivers up her spine. There was no turning back now. The moment was here, and it felt as though the world had narrowed down to just the two of them. "Mia," Alex said softly, his voice barely above a whisper, "I can't stop thinking about you. I don't want to hide how I feel anymore." Mia's heart skipped a beat. She wanted to say something, wanted to stop this before it went any further, but the words wouldn't come. Her thoughts were a blur. She knew this wasn't right. She knew she was already in a relationship with Ryan, but in that moment, nothing else mattered. All that mattered was the way Alex was looking at her, the way his touch made her feel more alive than she had in ages. Alex leaned in slowly, his lips barely brushing against her ear as he whispered, "Mia, can I kiss you?" Mia's breath hitched, her body trembling with anticipation. She wanted to say no, to pull back and remind herself of the commitment she had with Ryan. But in that moment, her mind was clouded with desire, with the need for something more, something she hadn't felt in so long. She closed her eyes, her lips parting slightly, and nodded. "Yes." And with that, Alex leaned in, his lips capturing hers in a soft, slow kiss. It was gentle at first, a tentative exploration, as if they were both testing the waters. But as the kiss deepened, Mia's heart raced. She could feel the passion building between them, the chemistry that had been simmering beneath the surface finally igniting into something more. She kissed him back, unable to stop herself, her hands finding their way to his chest, pulling him closer. For a moment, everything else faded away. The cafe, the city outside, the reality of her life with Ryan, none of it mattered. All that mattered was the kiss, the way it made her feel, the way Alex made her feel alive again. She had been searching for something, for someone to make her feel seen and desired, and in that moment, Alex was everything she had been craving. But as the kiss ended, Mia pulled away slightly, her heart pounding in her chest. She stared into Alex's eyes, her mind spinning. What had she just done? She had crossed a line, one that couldn't be uncrossed. She knew that this would change everything. Alex looked at her with a mixture of longing and understanding. "Mia, I don't want to rush you, but I need you to know how I feel." Mia swallowed hard, her chest tight with conflicting emotions. She wanted to say something, to explain the mess she had made, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, she simply nodded, her mind still reeling from the intensity of the kiss. "I know," she whispered, barely able to hear her own voice. They sat in silence for a moment, both lost in their thoughts, knowing that the connection they had shared in that kiss would never be the same again. Mia knew she had to make a decision, but for the first time, she wasn't sure which path she should choose. The night ended with a lingering, unspoken tension. As they left the cafe, Mia's mind was a whirlwind of confusion and desire. She knew that she had crossed a line, but she couldn't deny the pull she felt towards Alex. The kiss had changed everything. And now, she had to face the consequences. The days that followed Mia's kiss with Alex were nothing short of agonizing. She could feel the weight of it all, pressing down on her chest, suffocating her with every breath. Mia had never been good at lying, but now she was caught in a tangled web of half-truths and guilt. Every time she looked at Ryan, she could feel the tension between them. It was there in the small, quiet moments, the pauses in conversation, the lingering silence when their eyes met. Ryan had always been attentive, always able to sense when something was off, and Mia knew that this wasn't something she could keep hidden for long. She had been avoiding Ryan's gaze, too afraid of the questions he might ask, but it was only a matter of time before he confronted her. It was a cruel irony. She had agreed to an open relationship, yet here she was, struggling with the consequences of it. Was it her fault? Was she to blame for letting her feelings for Alex grow? She tried to push the thoughts away, but they kept resurfacing like an unforgiving tide. It was Saturday afternoon when Ryan finally broke the silence. They were sitting together on the couch in their apartment, the sun casting soft rays through the windows. It should have been a peaceful moment, but the air felt thick with unspoken words. Mia was scrolling through her phone, pretending to focus on the screen, but she couldn't escape the feeling that Ryan was watching her, waiting for her to crack. "Mia," Ryan said, his voice low and cautious. "We need to talk." Mia's heart skipped a beat. She put the phone down slowly, her palms suddenly sweaty. She turned to look at him, trying to keep her expression neutral, but it was clear that Ryan had noticed something. "What's on your mind?" Mia asked, her voice betraying her nerves. Ryan looked at her for a moment, his gaze steady but filled with a quiet concern. "I don't know how to say this, but I can tell something's wrong. You've been distant lately, and I'm starting to feel like you're pulling away from me." Mia's stomach tightened. She had hoped Ryan wouldn't notice, but his perceptiveness was one of the things she loved about him. She tried to swallow the lump in her throat, but the words felt stuck. I'm not pulling away, Ryan, she said, her voice faltering slightly. "I've just been stressed with work. You know how it is." Ryan didn't buy it. His eyes narrowed slightly, as if he could see right through her. "Don't lie to me, Mia," he said quietly. "I know you better than that. There's something else going on. Something you're not telling me." Mia's breath hitched. Her mind was spinning, her heart pounding in her chest. She couldn't keep pretending anymore. She had promised Ryan that they would always be open with each other, but the truth seemed impossible to say out loud. How could she confess what she was feeling without shattering everything? Ryan leaned forward, his voice gentle but firm. "Mia, if there's something you need to tell me, you can. I won't judge you. I just want to know what's going on. You're scaring me, and I don't want to lose you." The sincerity in Ryan's voice hit Mia like a punch to the gut. She didn't want to hurt him, she never did, but she was already so far gone. The guilt and confusion gnawed at her, making it hard to breathe. She took a deep breath, her hands trembling as she finally met Ryan's gaze. "Ryan, there's something I need to tell you, and I don't know how to say it." Ryan was silent, waiting for her to continue. His expression was a mixture of concern and curiosity, but Mia could see the fear lurking beneath it. He was afraid of what she might say. I've been spending time with someone else," Mia admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Ryan's eyes widened slightly, and for a moment, the world seemed to stop. Mia could feel the heat rise in her cheeks as she braced herself for his reaction. She had no idea what he would say next, but she knew it was going to change everything. "Who?" Ryan asked, his voice quieter now. There was no anger, only a sadness that Mia couldn't bear. "His name is Alex," Mia said, her voice trembling as she spoke. "We met a few weeks ago. And I don't know what to say, Ryan. I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. I'm so sorry. Ryan's face went pale. He didn't say anything for a long time, just stared at her, as if he were trying to process what she had just confessed. Mia could see the pain in his eyes, the confusion and hurt that were starting to form. So you've been seeing him, behind my back? Ryan finally asked, his voice thick with emotion. No. Mia said quickly, shaking her head. I didn't mean to hide it from you. I never meant to hurt you. But I couldn't ignore how I felt, Ryan. And now I don't know what to do. Ryan looked down at his hands, his fingers tightening into fists. Mia could see how much this was tearing him apart. She could feel the guilt crushing her, suffocating her in ways she hadn't anticipated. She had always thought that being honest with him would be the hardest part, but now that the truth was out, she realized it was only the beginning of the pain. Mia, this isn't just about you and him, is it? Ryan's voice was low, his words carrying a weight that made Mia's chest tighten. This is about you and me. And I don't know if I can get past this. Mia felt her heart shatter. She had feared this moment, but now that it was here, it was even worse than she could have imagined. I never wanted to hurt you, Mia said, her voice breaking. I don't know what happened. I thought I could handle it, but I can't. I don't know how to fix this, Ryan. Ryan stood up from the couch, his expression unreadable. I don't know either, he said quietly. I think we need some time apart. Mia felt the room spin as she watched him walk towards the door. She didn't want to lose him, but she knew she had already lost so much. She had betrayed him in the worst way possible, and now she was going to have to face the consequences of her choices. Ryan, please, Mia whispered, but her voice was barely a breath. Don't go. But Ryan didn't turn back. He paused at the door for a moment, then walked out of the room, leaving Mia alone in the silence. The weight of the conversation settled over her like a heavy fog. Mia sat there, staring at the empty space where Ryan had been, feeling like her world had fallen apart. The guilt, the confusion, the sense of loss, it all hit her in a rush. And for the first time, she truly understood the cost of her choices. She had wanted freedom, but now it seemed like that freedom had come at the cost of everything she held dear. And as Ryan's footsteps echoed down the hallway, Mia knew that there was no going back. She had to face what she had done and try to make peace with the consequences. But deep down, Mia knew that peace might never come. Mia didn't sleep that night. Her mind was too loud, too full of conflicting thoughts. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ryan's face, pale and hurt, and heard the sadness in his voice when he said they needed time apart. She understood why he needed space. She had broken his trust, and now, everything was uncertain. But no matter how much she understood, it didn't make the ache in her chest any less painful. She spent the next few days in a haze. Ryan had left that night and hadn't returned. Mia tried to stay busy with work, but the guilt weighed on her so heavily that it was impossible to concentrate. She could feel the emptiness in the apartment, the absence of his presence, and it only made her regret her actions more. She had wanted to explore her feelings, to experience something new, but now, she was left with the consequences of her choices. In the silence of the apartment, Mia found herself staring at the empty space next to her, imagining Ryan there, beside her, the way they used to be. How did they get here? How had things gotten so complicated? It was late in the afternoon when she heard the sound of keys turning in the door. Her heart skipped a beat as she stood up, almost not believing her eyes when she saw Ryan standing there, his expression serious, his gaze avoiding hers. Ryan, Mia said, her voice a mix of relief and fear. I didn't expect you to come back. Ryan looked at her for a long moment, his eyes filled with a mixture of frustration, hurt, and confusion. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stepped inside and shut the door behind him, his movements slow, almost deliberate. The weight of the unspoken words between them seemed to hang in the air like a cloud that couldn't dissipate. I needed to see you, Ryan said, his voice quieter than usual. But I'm not sure what to say. Mia swallowed hard, unsure of what to do. She wanted to reach out to him, to apologize, to somehow fix the damage she had caused, but she knew that no words could undo what had been done. I don't know what to say either, Ryan, Mia said, her voice trembling. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Ryan stepped closer to her, his eyes searching hers for some kind of answer. You didn't mean for it to happen, Mia? But it did. You've been seeing Alex, and you're telling me you didn't mean for it to happen. Mia's stomach tightened. She knew this was the moment. The truth, raw and painful, was staring them both in the face. She couldn't avoid it any longer. No, she said softly, I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. And I don't know how to make it right. Ryan's face fell, and for a brief moment, Mia thought she saw a flicker of hope in his eyes, as though he was hoping she had some answer, some explanation that would make sense of all this. But when she didn't offer anything more, that hope seemed to vanish, replaced by something deeper, something Mia didn't want to acknowledge. Did you fall for him, Mia? Ryan asked, his voice trembling with emotion. Did you fall for Alex? Mia hesitated. She had been avoiding the truth, but now with Ryan standing there, waiting for her answer, she couldn't keep pretending. The answer was clear, even though it hurt to say it. Yes, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I did. But it wasn't something I planned. It just happened. And now I feel like I've ruined everything. Ryan looked at her for a long time, his face unreadable. He didn't speak for a moment, as if he was processing everything she had just said. Mia could see the conflict in his eyes. He wanted to be angry, wanted to shout and demand answers. But there was something else there too, something that was harder to read. Was it resignation? Was he already starting to give up on them? Why didn't you tell me, Mia? Ryan asked quietly, his voice strained. Why didn't you talk to me about this? If we agreed to an open relationship, why didn't you just be honest with me? Mia took a deep breath. She had asked herself the same question 1,000 times since that first kiss with Alex. Why hadn't she been honest? Why had she let her feelings grow without saying anything? She could barely answer that, because there was no good reason, no excuse. She had betrayed his trust, and now she had to live with the consequences. I was afraid, Ryan, Mia admitted, her voice shaking. I was afraid of what would happen if I told you. I thought maybe if I kept it to myself, if I didn't acknowledge it, it wouldn't hurt as much. But I was wrong. It's hurting us both, and I don't know how to fix it. Ryan's gaze softened slightly, but the sadness in his eyes remained. I can't do this, Mia. I can't keep pretending that everything is okay when it's not. You've crossed a line, and I don't know if I can come back from that. Mia's heart shattered at his words. She knew this was coming, but hearing him say it out loud made it all the more real. The distance between them had grown too wide, and she wasn't sure they could bridge that gap. She had lost his trust, and no matter how much she wished otherwise, she didn't know if there was a way to get it back. Ryan, please, Mia said, her voice breaking. I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted to betray you. I know I've made mistakes, but I want to make it right. I want us to figure this out together. Ryan looked at her for a long moment, his face a mixture of pain and indecision. I don't know if we can figure this out, Mia, he said finally, his voice almost a whisper. I don't know if we can go back to what we had. I need time to think. I need space to figure out if this is something I can forgive. Mia felt the tears welling up in her eyes, but she couldn't bring herself to cry in front of him. She had done enough damage, and now she had to face the reality that the relationship she had fought so hard to maintain was slipping through her fingers. I understand, Mia said softly. I'll give you the space you need. But please know that I love you, Ryan. And I'm so sorry for everything. Ryan didn't respond immediately. He just nodded, a faint sadness in his eyes. I'll be back later. I just need some time, Mia. As Ryan turned and walked toward the door, Mia felt her heart break all over again. She had thought that by being honest, by coming clean about her feelings, they could work through this. But now she realized that the damage was far deeper than she had ever imagined. The door clicked shut behind him, and Mia sank to the floor, her emotions crashing over her in waves. She had lost him. Maybe not forever, but in this moment, she had lost him. The days after Ryan's departure felt like a slow-motion blur, a stretch of time that Mia couldn't seem to break free from. The apartment that once felt like a shared home now felt cold and empty, every corner a reminder of the life she had wrecked. Her heart was heavy with the weight of her choices, the uncertainty of the future pressing down on her shoulders. She had thought honesty would heal things, but now she realized that sometimes, the truth did more damage than good. Ryan had asked for time, and Mia was trying to give it to him. But the silence between them only deepened the cracks in their relationship, leaving her with nothing but questions and regret. Would he come back? Could they fix this? And more importantly, could Mia fix herself? She spent most of her days at work, trying to bury herself in distractions, but even that didn't help. Her thoughts constantly drifted to Alex. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw him, his warm smile, the way he made her feel alive, understood, wanted. But with every thought of him came a pang of guilt. She had crossed a line with him too, and now she was living with the consequences of that as well. But it wasn't just Alex she was thinking about, it was Ryan. Mia missed him. She missed their quiet mornings together, their laughter over dinner, the way they used to support each other without question. She had taken that for granted, assuming that no matter what, Ryan would always be there. But now, she didn't know if he would ever come back. One afternoon, after another long day at work, Mia returned home to find a note on the kitchen counter. It was from Ryan. Her heart fluttered with a mixture of hope and dread as she unfolded the paper, her hands trembling. Mia, I've been doing a lot of thinking. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, but I know I need to talk to you. I'm coming by tonight. We need to have a real conversation about everything. Ryan. Mia's breath caught in her throat. Part of her wanted to rush over to Ryan and beg for his forgiveness, to explain that she had never meant for things to get this complicated. But the other part of her felt the weight of her actions. This wasn't something that could be fixed in a single conversation. She had hurt him deeply, and no amount of pleading would undo that. Still, she couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. Ryan was coming back. He wanted to talk. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance to salvage something from the wreckage she had caused. The hours that followed were agonizing. Mia couldn't sit still, pacing back and forth across the apartment, trying to gather her thoughts. What would she say? How could she explain what had happened without sounding like she was making excuses? She had no idea, but she knew she couldn't go into this conversation without being honest. As the evening wore on, Mia found herself standing by the door, waiting. Her heart raced in anticipation, a mixture of fear and hope swirling within her. The sound of a car pulling up outside sent a jolt through her, and she took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. Ryan knocked at the door. Mia opened it, and there he was, looking tired, his eyes filled with the same mixture of sadness and uncertainty that had been haunting her for days. For a moment, neither of them spoke, just standing there, the silence between them deafening. Finally, Ryan broke the quiet. Mia, we need to talk. Mia nodded, stepping aside to let him in. They both stood there for a moment, unsure of how to begin, as if the air itself was too thick to break. Mia felt the tension in the room, the weight of everything they hadn't said hanging over them. Ryan, Mia started, her voice shaking, but Ryan raised his hand, silencing her. Mia, I don't know where to begin, he said, his voice quieter than usual. I've spent the last few days trying to understand everything, trying to figure out where we went wrong. And honestly, I'm struggling. I'm struggling to understand how we got here. Mia swallowed hard, her heart aching. I don't know either. I never meant for any of this to happen. I never meant to hurt you, Ryan. I'm so sorry. Ryan looked at her for a long moment, as if weighing her words. I don't think you set out to hurt me, Mia. But you did. You hurt me in ways I didn't even expect. I thought we had something strong, something that couldn't be broken. But this feels like everything we built has been shattered. Mia's chest tightened. She had feared this. She had feared that no matter how sorry she was, the damage would be too much for Ryan to bear. I know, Mia whispered, her voice barely audible. I ruined it. I ruined everything. I never thought it would get this far. I just wanted to feel something different, something that I couldn't explain. Ryan stepped closer to her, his gaze intense, but his voice steady. And in the process, you lost what we had. Do you understand that, Mia? Do you understand what you've done? Mia's eyes welled with tears, but she didn't speak. There was nothing she could say that would make it better, nothing she could say to take away the hurt she had caused. All she could do was stand there and listen, knowing that the weight of her actions was far heavier than anything she could have imagined. I don't know if I can forgive you, Mia, Ryan said quietly, his voice breaking. I don't know if I can go back to the way things were. You've crossed a line, and I don't know if I can trust you again." Mia felt a sob rise in her chest, but she choked it back. "Ryan, please don't say that. I don't know how to fix this, but I'll do whatever it takes. I love you, and I never meant to hurt you. I was confused, and I didn't know how to handle everything that was happening inside me. But you're the one I want, Ryan. You always have been." Ryan was silent for a long time. He ran his hand through his hair, clearly torn. "I don't know what to believe anymore. Everything feels broken. I don't know if we can fix this. But I do know one thing. Right now, I don't even know who you are anymore, Mia. I don't know who I am in this mess." Mia took a deep breath, wiping her tears away. "I understand," she said quietly. "And I know I've hurt you in ways I can't undo. But if there's any chance at all, I want to work through this. I don't want to lose you. I'm asking for your forgiveness, even if you can't give it to me right now. But please know that I am willing to do whatever it takes." Ryan looked at her for a long moment, the weight of his thoughts apparent in his eyes. Then, with a heavy sigh, he shook his head. "I need time, Mia. I need space to think. I can't make any decisions right now. But I need you to understand that whatever happens, I need to be sure that you're the person I thought you were. And right now, I'm not sure I see that person anymore." Mia nodded, the tears now flowing freely down her face. "I understand," she whispered. "I'll give you the space you need. But I will be here when you're ready to talk." Ryan didn't answer right away. He simply turned and walked towards the door, pausing for a moment before looking back at her. "I'll be back when I'm ready," he said softly. And with that, he was gone. The door clicked shut behind him, and Mia stood there, frozen in place, her heart breaking all over again. She didn't know if Ryan would come back, or if they could ever fix what was broken. All she knew was that she had lost something precious, something she wasn't sure she could ever get back. But one thing was clear: whatever happened next, Mia was going to have to face the consequences of her actions. And for the first time, she truly understood the price of her choices. The days blurred into each other. Mia could no longer tell if it was the weight of the silence or the absence of Ryan's presence that made each moment feel heavier. Every time she woke up, the apartment felt colder, emptier, and the guilt gnawed at her relentlessly. She had hoped that giving Ryan the space he asked for would help them both heal, but the reality of her situation was becoming more unbearable with each passing day. Ryan hadn't contacted her since their last conversation, and the absence of his voice, his presence, made everything more real. The hurt in his eyes, the quiet devastation that had filled the room when he walked out, echoed in her mind constantly. She had been the one to hurt him, the one to betray their trust. She had crossed a line, and she wasn't sure if she could ever undo the damage. The apartment, once a shared space full of laughter, love, and companionship, now felt like a ghost of the life they once had. Mia would wake up early, as she always did, but instead of the soft warmth of Ryan beside her, there was only cold emptiness. She found herself wandering the house, aimlessly moving from room to room, unable to find a place where she felt whole. The ache in her chest, the constant yearning for something she couldn't fix, was all-consuming. She couldn't stop thinking about Ryan, about the way he had looked at her that night, how deeply hurt he had been. The thought of his disappointed face made her stomach turn with regret. She tried to distract herself with work, but nothing seemed to matter anymore. Her focus was shot. Every time she picked up her phone, she expected a message from him, but it never came. Every time the door clicked open, she hoped it would be him walking through, ready to talk, ready to forgive. But each time, the door remained silent, empty. One afternoon, after another day spent in the quiet company of her own thoughts, Mia found herself standing on the balcony, staring out at the busy streets of Berlin. The city was alive, bustling with people, cars, and noise, but it all felt so far away. The world outside was moving, living, and Mia was frozen in a moment that felt like an eternity. She wasn't sure how much longer she could endure the silence. The regrets were piling up, each one more suffocating than the last. Her phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. She looked down at the screen, and her heart skipped a beat when she saw that it was a message from Ryan. "Mia, we need to talk." Mia's breath caught in her throat. He was reaching out. Maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance. She had hoped for this moment, but now that it was here, she wasn't sure she was ready. What would he say? Would he be angry? Would he finally tell her it was over? Or was this the chance she needed to fix things? She stared at the message, her fingers hovering over the screen. She knew she had to be honest, to finally face the consequences of her actions. She couldn't keep running away from this, couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine. If Ryan was giving her a chance to talk, she had to take it. Her mind raced as she typed a quick reply, "When?" The response came just seconds later, "I'm on my way over now. I'll be there soon." Mia's heart pounded in her chest as she set the phone down, the anxiety swirling within her. This was it. This was the moment she had been both dreading and hoping for. She had no idea what Ryan would say, or if this was the beginning of a new chapter for them, or the end of everything they had built together. But she couldn't back out now. She had to face whatever was coming. The knock at the door came much sooner than she expected. Her pulse quickened, and her hands trembled as she stood to answer it. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself before opening the door. When she did, Ryan stood there, looking as exhausted as she felt. His expression was unreadable, his eyes distant, but there was something in his posture that spoke of the emotional weight he was carrying. "Mia," he said softly, his voice low but steady. "Can we sit down?" Mia stepped aside to let him in, her stomach in knots. They moved to the couch, sitting in silence for a few moments before Ryan finally spoke again. "I've thought about this a lot, Mia," Ryan began, his eyes focused on his hands. "I've been trying to figure out if I can forgive you, if I can even trust you again. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I can. But I'm here because I want to understand what happened. I want to understand how we got to this point." Mia felt a wave of emotion rush over her. The hurt in his voice was palpable, and it broke her heart all over again. She had put him in this position, and now, she had to face the reality of her actions. "I don't have an excuse, Ryan," Mia said quietly. "I wish I did. But I don't. I let myself get lost in something I didn't expect. I didn't mean for it to happen, and I never meant to hurt you. I was confused. I thought I could handle it. But I was wrong. I hurt you. I betrayed your trust, and I'll never forgive myself for that." Ryan looked up at her, his eyes searching her face. "Do you love him?" he asked, his voice almost a whisper. Mia's heart twisted. She had never wanted to be in this position, to have to choose between the two men she cared about. But now, with Ryan sitting in front of her, the answer was clear. She had to be honest, no matter how much it hurt. "I do," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I love you too, Ryan. I never stopped loving you. But I messed up. I let things go too far with Alex, and I never stopped to think about what it would do to you, to us. I don't want to lose you, Ryan. I don't want this to be the end of us." Ryan sat in silence for a long moment, his face unreadable. Mia watched him, her chest tight with fear, wondering if this was the last time they would speak like this. If she would lose him forever. Finally, Ryan spoke, his voice quieter than before. "I don't know if we can fix this, Mia. I don't know if I can trust you again. But I do know this, it's going to take time. A lot of time. And I don't know if we can come back from this, but I'm willing to try. I need you to understand that I'm not sure where we go from here. But I can't promise you anything right now." Mia nodded, her tears threatening to fall. "I understand. I'll give you all the time you need. I don't want to pressure you. I just want you to know how sorry I am, and how much I regret everything that's happened." Ryan stood up slowly, his expression still serious, but there was a small hint of something softer in his eyes. "I'm not ready to forgive you, Mia. But I'm willing to try and understand. I'm willing to see if we can fix this. But it's going to be hard. And I don't know if we can ever go back to the way we were." Mia stood as well, her heart in her throat. She stepped closer to him, her voice breaking. "I'll do whatever it takes, Ryan. I don't want to lose you. Please. I love you." Ryan looked at her for a long moment, then sighed deeply. "I know. And right now, that's all I need to hear. But don't expect this to be easy. It won't be." Mia nodded, her heart heavy but hopeful for the first time in days. She knew it wouldn't be easy. There were no quick fixes, no magic words to undo what had been done. But maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to move forward, to rebuild what had been broken. Ryan turned to leave, but before he walked out the door, he paused and looked back at her. I need time, Mia, he said again. But we'll talk soon. I promise. And with that, he was gone. Mia stood there, in the stillness of the apartment, her heart both heavy and light. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like there was a small glimmer of hope. The following days felt like a test, each one stretching out longer than the last. Mia had tried to stay busy, focusing on her work and distracting herself from the painful silence that filled the apartment. But despite all her efforts, the absence of Ryan loomed over her like a shadow she couldn't escape. She had made a promise to him, to give him the time he needed, but with each passing day, the weight of their broken relationship grew heavier. The quiet in the apartment was deafening, and Mia couldn't help but feel as if the life she once knew was slipping further and further away. Ryan had come by a few times to check in, but their conversations had been brief, cautious, and filled with an unspoken tension. Mia could see that he was still processing everything, still unsure of what the future held. He didn't say much, just that he needed space, and Mia had given it to him, even though it felt like her heart was being pulled in two different directions. She missed him, missed his laugh, the way he'd always known how to make her feel safe, the way their mornings had once felt like a routine they could never break. But now, everything felt uncertain. She knew that trust, once broken, was not something easily repaired. And even though Ryan had agreed to try, Mia didn't know if that was enough. Her phone buzzed late one evening, and Mia's heart jumped in her chest. She knew who it was before even looking at the screen. It was Ryan. She had been waiting for this moment, hoping that maybe, just maybe, he was ready to talk again. But as she opened the message, her stomach sank. We need to talk. I'm coming over. Mia stared at the message for a moment, unsure of what to expect. A part of her feared that this would be the final conversation, the one where Ryan would finally tell her it was over for good. But another part of her, a small hopeful part, wondered if this was the chance she had been waiting for, to prove to Ryan that she was willing to fight for their love, to show him that she was sorry and ready to make things right. Ryan arrived shortly after, looking more worn than the last time she saw him. His eyes were tired, his face drawn with the weight of the decisions he was making. Mia could feel the tension in the air as soon as he stepped through the door. There was something in the way he moved, something in his silence, that told her this conversation was different. This wasn't just a check-in. This was a reckoning. Mia started, but he held up his hand, silencing her. Mia, I think we need to have a real conversation about where we stand, Ryan said, his voice calm but filled with an emotion Mia couldn't quite read. I've been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of soul-searching, and I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know if I can keep doing this. Mia felt her heart skip a beat. His words hit her like a punch to the gut. She had known it was coming, had known that this moment would arrive, but hearing him say it out loud made it all the more real. Ryan, I know I've hurt you. I know I've broken your trust, and I don't blame you for feeling the way you do, Mia said, her voice trembling. But please understand that I never meant for any of this to happen. I was confused, and I made mistakes, but I still love you. I want to fix this. I want us to find a way back to each other. Ryan looked at her, his expression unreadable. Mia, you don't understand. This isn't just about the open relationship anymore. This is about what happened after. What you did with Alex, how it's changed everything. You've been telling me that you love me, that you want to fix things, but how do you expect me to trust you again after what you've done? Mia's chest tightened. She could hear the pain in Ryan's voice, and it broke her heart. She had always prided herself on being open, on being honest with him, but now it felt like honesty had destroyed everything. I know, Ryan, she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. I know it's not going to be easy. I know I don't deserve your trust. But I can't change what happened. All I can do is ask you to give me the chance to make it right. I don't want to lose you. Ryan shook his head slowly, his gaze distant. You don't understand, Mia. I'm not sure I can even look at you the same way anymore. You hurt me in a way I never imagined. I wanted to believe that we could make it work, but now, I'm not so sure. I've been asking myself if this is something I can forgive. I don't know, Mia. I don't know if I can. Mia felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. The hope she had been holding on to for days, the fragile thread that had kept her going, snapped in that moment. She had known that Ryan was struggling with everything that had happened, but hearing him say it out loud, hearing him say that he didn't know if he could forgive her, hit her harder than anything else. "Ryan, please," she pleaded, stepping toward him. "Please don't give up on us. I'm so sorry. I can't take back what I did, but I'm here, and I'm willing to fight for us. I'll do anything. I don't want to lose you. I need you to give me a chance to make it right." Ryan took a step back, running his hand through his hair. His eyes were filled with anguish, and Mia could see the conflict within him. "I don't know if I can do that, Mia. I need more time. I need more space to figure out what I really want. Right now, everything feels like it's falling apart, and I'm not sure if I can put it back together." Mia nodded, the tears flowing freely now. "I understand," she whispered. "I'll give you the space you need. But please know that I love you, Ryan. I'm sorry. I'll be here, waiting. Whenever you're ready." Ryan sighed deeply, his face etched with sorrow. "I don't want to hurt you, Mia. But right now, I need to figure out what's best for me. I don't know what that is yet." He turned and walked toward the door, and Mia felt her heart break all over again. She wanted to stop him, to beg him to stay, to tell him that everything could still be fixed. But she knew that she couldn't force him to feel something he wasn't ready to feel. The door clicked shut behind him, and Mia stood there, her body shaking with the weight of the moment. She had tried. She had tried to fix things, to make everything right, but it felt like she was losing him all over again. She sank down onto the couch, her heart heavy with regret. She had made choices that she couldn't take back, and now she was paying the price. The silence of the apartment swallowed her whole, and for the first time in a long time, Mia felt truly alone. Mia's life felt like it was suspended in time. Days blended into nights, each one heavy with uncertainty and regret. Every morning, she woke up with the hope that maybe today things would be different, that Ryan would walk through the door and say he was ready to forgive her, ready to move forward. But each time, the silence was deafening, and each day felt longer than the last. Mia had tried to give Ryan space, tried to let him process his feelings, but in doing so, she had lost the part of herself that had once been so sure of who she was. She missed him, more than she could put into words. She missed the way they used to talk, the way they had shared their lives with each other without hesitation. The life she had with Ryan had been so real, so full of promise. But now it felt like a distant memory, fading as the days passed, and the pain of her actions continued to gnaw at her. It was a late afternoon when Mia received the message. It was from Ryan. "Mia, we need to talk. I'm coming by tonight." The familiar feeling of dread washed over her, but it was mixed with a strange, faint hope. He was coming back. They were going to talk again. Mia had no idea what this conversation would bring, but she knew it would be the final chapter. It had to be. She quickly straightened the apartment, though she knew it wouldn't matter. No amount of cleaning or rearranging could fix what had been broken. But she had to at least try to make things feel somewhat normal. She couldn't help herself. She needed to prove, if only to herself, that she was still capable of doing something right. When the doorbell rang, Mia's heart skipped a beat. She stood frozen for a moment, unsure of whether to answer it, unsure of whether she was ready for this conversation. But she knew she couldn't run from it anymore. With trembling hands, she opened the door. Ryan stood there, looking just as worn as he had the last time she saw him. His face was serious, and there was a weight in his eyes, one that Mia had been trying to avoid acknowledging. "Mia," Ryan said, his voice flat. "We need to talk." Mia stepped aside, letting him in, her heart pounding in her chest. She had spent the last few days thinking about what she would say, what she could say to fix this, but now, standing in front of him, all her words seemed hollow. They sat down on the couch in the same place they'd spent so many evenings before. The silence stretched out between them, neither of them speaking for what felt like an eternity. Mia wanted to say something, anything, but nothing came. The space between them felt insurmountable. Finally, Ryan spoke. "Mia, I've thought about this a lot. I've tried to understand everything, tried to figure out if I could forgive you, if I could get past what happened. But the truth is, I don't know. I don't know if I can. And I'm not sure if I ever will." Mia felt her stomach drop. She had prepared herself for this, but hearing him say it out loud was a blow she hadn't been ready for. It felt like everything was crashing down all over again. "I don't want to hurt you," Ryan continued, his voice quiet. But what you did with Alex, how it changed everything between us. It's something I don't know if I can forget. I can't erase what happened. And I don't think I can trust you again." Mia closed her eyes, the sting of his words cutting deep. She had known this was coming, but the reality of it felt like a punch to the gut. She had made a choice, and now she was facing the consequences. "I understand," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I know I've hurt you. I know I can't take back what I did, and I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know how sorry I am. I never wanted to lose you, Ryan. I never wanted to hurt you." Ryan looked at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow and frustration. "I know you didn't mean to hurt me, Mia. But the truth is, you did. And now, I have to live with that. I have to live with the fact that I don't trust you anymore, and I don't know if I ever will." Mia felt her breath catch in her throat. The pain of his words was too much, and she couldn't hold back the tears that welled in her eyes. "Please, Ryan," she pleaded. "Please, don't give up on us. We've been through so much together. I know I've messed up, but I love you. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this." Ryan shook his head, his eyes softening for a brief moment, but the resolve in his voice remained. "I want to believe that, Mia. I really do. But right now, I don't know if I can. Everything has changed. And I don't know if I can go back to the way things were." The room fell silent again, and Mia felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her chest. She had ruined what they had, and now, no amount of words or apologies could undo the damage. The relationship that she had once thought was unbreakable had crumbled, and she was standing in the ruins, trying to pick up the pieces. "I think it's time, Mia," Ryan said softly. "I think it's time we face the truth. We've tried to make this work, but sometimes, love isn't enough. Sometimes, we reach a point where we just can't move forward anymore." Mia's heart shattered in that moment. She had known, deep down, that this was the inevitable conclusion. But hearing Ryan say it out loud, hearing him acknowledge that they couldn't fix what had been broken, felt like a final death knell to their relationship. "I'm sorry," Mia said, her voice shaking. "I'm so sorry for everything." Ryan stood up, taking a deep breath as he looked at her one last time. "I need to go, Mia. I think we both need to let go of what we had. I need to figure out who I am without you in my life. And you need to figure out who you are too." Mia nodded, the tears streaming down her face. She didn't know what else to say. She couldn't make him stay. She couldn't change his mind. She had already lost him. Ryan turned to leave, his footsteps heavy as he walked toward the door. He paused for a moment, then looked back at her. "I hope you find peace, Mia," he said quietly. "I hope you find the happiness you're looking for." And with that, he was gone. Mia collapsed onto the couch, her body trembling with the weight of what had just happened. She had lost him. She had lost everything. And as the silence of the apartment swallowed her whole, Mia knew that this was the end of the road. She had crossed a line, and now she had to face the consequences. There was no going back. As Mia and Ryan's journey unfolds, their love is tested by choices, betrayal, and the harsh reality of their own desires. In the end, they are left to confront the consequences of their decisions. Can love truly survive when trust is broken, or is the damage irreparable? Wife's open relationship dream turns into a regretful reality of cheating, reminds us that freedom comes with a price, and sometimes, the heart is the one that pays.